Hello again, MMA True Believers. This is Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined tonight by a man who has lived quite an interesting life already, and that's before becoming one of the fastest rising talents in the UFC today. He's coming off of a major win against Antonio Carlos Jr. at UFC Fight Night 152, and he now heads into the UFC 241 on August 17th to face another serious test in Derek Brunson. He is the UFC's number 10 ranked middleweight in the world. He's the Hurricane. He is Ian Heinisch. Ian, thanks for joining me tonight to talk this big fight you have coming up in about a week or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Now, first, I wanted to talk about the Antonio Carlos Jr. fight, which was a big win in your career. That first round was a difficult one in that he was able to employ his game plan fairly early and was just difficult to get the hell off of you. And he eventually had your back on the ground, all that stuff. During that round, was there any concern like, shit, this was not how I wanted this fight to go, or were you pretty much calm the whole time, just more like just frustrated, like, damn, he's a pain in the ass?
Yeah, kind of like the second thing you said. You know, I trained for what he was going to be, what he's great at. I almost gave it a little too much respect. That's why I'm focusing on not doing that this fight. Okay. And, you know, but once I felt what he had and he couldn't finish me, and I felt the frustration in his body language and just seeing him almost mentally and physically break. And my coach told me he gave me everything he had in that first round. So I came out second round ready to pick up the pace and put it on him.
Late in the second and the third, you know, there was an impressive momentum change. Pretty much, like you say, you just started putting on him and what your coaches said. You know, you showed your mettle and showcase the very good grappling you have as well from your wrestling background, and really took the fight en route, you know, in your direction en route to getting a win. Looking back on that fight, did you view Shoeface as, who's, you know, pretty damn good fighter as at middleweight? Was he, in your mind, like the toughest test of your career up until that point, and now by beating him, do you feel that was the biggest win of your career up until this point?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I just believe that, you know, every fight is your next fight's your toughest fight, you know, no matter who it is. But yeah, you know, he was a game opponent. He's obviously ranked. He was on a 5-fight win streak. You know, he finished 4 of his guys in that position he had me in. So, you know, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a big win, and I was, you know, happy for it. I would have liked to finish him, but, you know, that's why I'm excited to fight Brunson, because he's a game guy. He's going to meet me in the center. He's going to throw hands at me, and that's what I'm excited for. You know, we'll probably mix some wrestling, but someone who's just not going to just hold on for dear life and try to submit me, you know, it's going to be a little bit funner, I believe, and it's going to be one for the fans. So now, I'm excited.
On to that Brunson fight you mentioned. You are the betting favorite right now in many of the betting lines. I think, if not all of the betting lines, you were, you know, just a small underdog against Antonio Carlos Jr. Now you go in as the expected winner, against a man who has fought a ton of top stars over a 26-fight career. You know, I'm not sure fighters care about that stuff, you know, but, you know, it's a clear tip of the hat from the odds makers who follow this sport very closely that they respect your talent very much. Do you appreciate little things like that, you know, as you progress in the sport, in the promotion, or do you not really take that stuff too seriously?
Yeah, you know, for me, it's just, you know, my buddies won't be able to make money off me this fight. But no, you know, yeah, I mean, they see who I am. They've seen some more cage time in the octagon, and they see kind of what talent I bring. I believe they haven't seen even half of it yet. So, you know, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. It's still the same mission, same result.
In a previous interview you did with James Dance, he suggested, you know, it was before this fight, he suggested maybe facing the winner of Elias Theodorou and Brunson. And you kind of mentioned, you know, Theodorou a little bit more. You talked a little bit more about him, but you are getting Brunson. Derek is a unique fighter in that he has all the tools to be great, but sometimes he puts it together, and it seems like sometimes he doesn't. That fight with Elias, it was an odd one. Can you take anything from it strategy-wise, or you and your team need to scrap that and dig into the older tapes of his previous fights to really prepare for him on the 17th?
Yeah, you know, I mean, with that fight, it's just difficult because, you know, Elias is he's just a different kind of fighter. I'm not going to fight like that. No one's going to fight like that. And so, you know, that was a hard one to judge it. Brunson was more calm, stay back. My goal is to put pressure on him like Whitaker did and get him emotional and get him swinging forward because, you know, usually that doesn't turn out well with him when he comes swinging wild.
even at 35, Derek is still a very gifted athlete. That's always been his calling card.
Yeah.
But he can wrestle. He's got legit power that you get worried about. Like I mentioned, but you never know what to expect with him sometimes. But
Yeah.
on a skill level, on an ability level, is Derek Brunson the most dangerous fighter you feel you might have faced so far?
I mean, they're all dangerous, man. They're all dangerous. I can't really in my head, judge who's more dangerous. I got to treat them all the same. They're just a body in my way. I believe Derek is a similar fighter to me. He comes from a wrestling background. He's got some knockouts. He's kind of a brawler. His striking's come a long way. And I just believe I'm the younger, more hungry, more talented version of Brunson. And I'm going to show that August 17th.
Factory X has quickly become one of the elite gyms in the sport. Have you been working with anyone specifically there in this camp to prepare for him, like someone that in the gym that's can mimic his style very well, and have you been working on any specific techniques to prepare for Derek on the 17th, or is it status quo and it's what you're always doing, sharpening skills, doing what you're always doing, working with the people you're always working with, kind of that stuff?
Yeah, we've been training for these southpaws, like against Cesar Mutante, Ferreira, against Tom Breeze. And then against Sumter was a southpaw too. So I've been training for southpaws. And so with Chris Camozzi and Zach Cummings, I've been training with him a lot this camp. But we have a up and coming LFA star, soon to be UFC fighter Austin Jones in the gym, and he has a very similar style. He can get going really wild on you, throwing those overhand hooks and coming in real hard on you. So I've been training a lot with him just because he's very good at mimicking Brunson.
Now, away from the fight, while researching, it was very fascinating. Now, it's old news, now for some people, but for me, it was new because I read your fantastic self-authored piece in the Players Tribune from late last year. I mean, amazing article, just fucking loved it. As a New Yorker, we all know how nuts Rikers is and why it is now being closed. The experience of writing that article, was it like cathartic in a way? Did it help you express yourself in a real interesting way you've never encountered before?
Yeah, absolutely. But wait, you said Rikers going to be closed?
Yeah, they're closing it and they're going to separate it into multiple prisons. Yep. Especially after the I don't know if you've seen the documentary on Khalif Browder, the guy who was like 18. He ended up staying in there for like almost a year and a half, and then eventually killed himself afterwards. All the what he's gone through, what you went through. It's
What's that documentary called?
Just look up Khalif Browder and probably like Paramount Network. It was on Paramount Network, produced by Jay-Z. Fantastic documentary.
Okay,
highly
Khalif
recommend.
Browder. Okay. Yeah, being able to express my story, I'm turning my pain into a platform, my troubles into a testimony, and that's what it's all about, man. I want to inspire with this story. Everything I've been through it was all meant to be, and it's led me to this moment. And now I get to use MMA as my platform of just hope and inspiration, and just what God's doing in my life and how He's changed me and just sanctified me and turned me into this new human that I am today. And I'm able to do what I love for a living, and it's just amazing. And I just get to share my testimony with so many people, and just all the fans that are inspired by it, man. That's what gets me fired up. I love it.
Now, I have more questions about it because the article is fascinating. The points you bring up about the prison systems are very key points. But before I get to that, one fascinating thing that I really enjoyed about it was you talking about Lucha Canaria, I guess it's pronounced.
Canaria.
When you were in the Canary Islands, is that something? Because it seemed like through the reading, it seemed like something you really liked. Is it something that you almost miss in a way? Did you ever think about like doing like a Lucha Canaria tournament at Factory X for some fun and bonding?
It's kind of a weird style. It's you wear a gi, you roll it up, you're in a gladiator pit outside in the sand, and it's best out of 3 and takedowns. So I don't know where I can find a gladiator pit around here. I mean, we can do it in the sand, but yeah, it was cool to kind of be immersed in someone else's culture, and like that's their form of wrestling. That's all they know, and me to bring my own style to that game and apply it. And so that was cool. I do miss it, and I did get to go back after the London fight was supposed to happen. But no, I haven't got to do it. I'm focusing on winning this belt, and then I can kind of go back and explore all these things that I want to do. But right now, it's a lot of sacrifice for what I'm doing.
When you went back, did you it was just visiting the Canaries, or you actually visited the prison and all that kind of stuff?
No, I wanted to go, but I didn't have time. It was a short visit. It was like 5 days. I had so many people that wanted to see me.
Mm-hmm.
The prison was way up north.
Okay.
No, I just seen old friends and family that, that was like family to me, and just kind of reconnected with everyone, and just kind of just explored my old stomping grounds. It was a surreal feeling. It was cool.
Now, going to the prison thing, the one of the key parts of the article I love that you mentioned was talking about how in the Canaries and in Spain, those places look to get people legitimately rehabilitated and get back into the world, and I've seen, the same kind of things as places like Sweden and Norway. I've watched a good bit on
Yeah.
the U.S. prisons, and it's a mess. You are
Yeah.
getting to a place where you
Yeah.
have an influence in society, and it's gonna only get furthermore as you continue to win. If you haven't already, have you thought about doing like activism on that topic of the prison systems here in the U.S.? And also, along with possibly doing activism, have you ever, after that article came out, gotten contacted by people in regards to that halfway house that you hope to one day, open up one day?
Yeah, I speak very strongly and passionately about it, and hopefully the little things I can do to make a little bit of a change or start a movement would be great. Like I said, right now, man, it's a lot of sacrifice to become the best of the world in the UFC. So my main focus is that I'm doing what I can in articles, and making these connections, and kind of just chalking it up and making a plan for after fighting. But right now, all my focus is on winning that belt. But definitely after, there's going to be a long, big impact of life after fighting for me. So, I'm looking forward to that, but I'm enjoying every moment, because I know fighting is not going to be around forever. It's a short window of my life. So I'm enjoying every moment, but I'm definitely planning for the future on that.
Now, for anybody that hasn't read that article, it's in the Players Tribune from November of last year. Fantastic. I highly recommend it. But because of when you went through, doing the prisons in Spain and Canary, what you went through in Rikers, almost thinking you were going to die, is there any way that can you just say that there's nothing in the cage that you really fear? Like, no matter what a guy like Derek Brunson may try before the fight or in the fight, is there any way you can even be intimidated considering what you went through? Is the cage almost like a safe place, and there's no fear, and it's just really joy, and it's just fun competition?
Yeah, it's a crazy feeling. You get locked in the cage, and, most people get like claustrophobic or scared in there. And I feel the most free when I'm in the cage to express myself. And I can't speak if anything's going to scare me. Nothing so far has even come close, because I'm doing a sport that I love. There's a referee in there that's going to pull someone off you and not let it go too far. Obviously, things can happen in there, but, I was in a cage before where you're lucky if the guards get to you in time. And sometimes the guards don't even want to help. And, you're really fighting for your life, and people have weapons, and it's just a whole different ball game. But, this mental toughness and these calluses on my brain that I've built through going through what I did, it definitely helps me in the cage, man. I got that extra, sometimes it's the third round, and I'm like, if you can't push for 5 more minutes, like, what is this? Like, I might as well just quit now. Like, I go through this in my head. Like, I just tell myself, like, if you can't go for 5 more minutes, like, then it wasn't worth it. And so, it gives me that extra energy to be able to pull out. And I truly believe I don't really have better cardio than these guys. I don't know but I just know I can push. Like, those guys who have great cardio, they've been here more.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the thing I always like to end interviews on is just getting to know the fighters more. So the people who watch this, who are fans, can know something maybe they didn't know about. They're like, so away from fighting, what are some of the things you enjoy to do? I've gotten various answers from various fighters. I've gotten love comic books, love TV shows, love cooking, love shooting guns, love hunting. Like, what does Ian Heinisch like to do? 'Cause I hear Denver is a beautiful place. So what do you like to do for fun?
Well, obviously in Colorado, we have a lot of the camping, the fishing, getting in the woods. I love nature. If it was my choice now, I wouldn't be living in the city. I would be at the beach or in the mountains. That's my goal. I love nature. When I'm connected to nature, I'm happy. I'm feeling good.